Okay, this is the old man coming to you once again. We had a terrible tragedy here in Nashville, Tennessee yesterday where a young student, well, not really a student, she was older. Initially, they said she was in her late teens, but then one report said she was 28. We had one individual who had went into a Christian school, which was basically pre-K through sixth grade, where she had went in there and shot three 9-year-old children and three adults. Um, they say that she got into the building by a side door, which she shot the lock off. She had three weapons with her. Two of them, they said, were obtained legally. I say that because I know a lot of people right now are probably going to be shouting about gun control. But I think it's a much more serious issue than that, because if she obtained two of them legally, that means that she had to go through all the tests and screening and background checks to do that. So if she had never done anything wrong or done anything that they might have considered unusual or suspicious, then she wouldn't have been able to purchase those weapons. Um, what we have here, it's a issue about mental illness. And if you look back at other people who have done these kind of things about serial killers, and the one thing they always say is, oh, well, they were always so quiet. And sometimes you think that's a positive, but in some cases it's not, because it's the quiet ones you need to worry about. Now, I'm not saying you have to be worried about every person who's quiet, but if you pay attention to people, you will pick up on signs that something is right. If you have a normal person who is normally very outgoing, and all of a sudden they're keeping to themselves and not saying much, then something's going on in your head. And sometimes these people just need somebody to talk to get out whatever the issue is. And they might not want to at first, but if you keep getting them, eventually maybe they will talk to you. Uh, I actually met a serial killer. It was by accident. I was working at a restaurant called Old Charlie's here in Nashville, Tennessee. And the one morning, a coworker and we showed up to start our shift. And of course, the front doors were locked at that time. So to get in, you had to go into a side door, which went to the kitchen. And to get into this door, there was a button with a buzzer. You push this buzzer and someone, usually the manager, would come back and let you in. So it's one morning, this girl and we were waiting to come in so we could start our shift, and our manager comes to open the door. Well, we didn't notice that somebody had came up behind us, and all of a sudden he was asking my manager for an application. The manager said, well, we open at 10:30. If you want to come around to the front door, then we'll give you an application. Well, he never did. But later on TV, there was a composite of this guy, Paul Dansfried, because there was a survivor in one of the other killings that he had done, because he had ended up killing people in like three different restaurants. And we had that composite posted on that back door. So anytime if they saw him trying to come in, they would not let him in. But at the time, when they figured out who it was and we ended up getting him, they had talked to his landlady and all this, and they always say the same thing. Oh, he was just so quiet. So if you notice somebody is acting like they normally don't, if they're acting in a more quiet tone or you see something different they're doing, try and talk to them. Or if you know somebody who specializes in a field who is good at engaging with people, I'm not saying you have to send them off to a psychologist or anything, but just have them meet with somebody just so they could talk. Because sometimes that's all they want, somebody who can talk and listen to them. If you go back to several years ago when the incident at Columbine had happened, and you had two young students who had planned on going into the school with they wore these long trench coats and you had the weapons underneath their coats, and they go in there and start blasting. Well, you don't just decide to go in and start shooting people. Something has to be wrong in your head that you would do this. Somewhere had to be a trigger where these two guys, whatever was going on with them, thought to themselves, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. The best way I can get out is death by cop. I'll just go and start shooting my fellow students. They'll end up in a better place than they are now anyway, so I'm just going to help them along. What I'm asking you to do is pay attention to the people around you. And all too often we get caught up in what's going on in school or at work or whatever, and we don't really pay attention to the little things about how someone might be reacting, which might be different than the way they normally do. So, while it's important that they find out where these guns came from, it's more important to find out what's in the mind of the people around you. I mean, you never know, you might help somebody just by talking. If you look, you'll see a lot of people asking for prayers for the people in school, about the teachers and the students who are still there, and of course the parents and loved ones. Yes, pray for them. But you also need to pray for the shooter's family and friends, because they had no idea this person was going to do this. And how do you live with yourself knowing that your child has done this? So they're going to need help as well, so pray for them as well. And pray for all of us, because, you know, our country's just going crazy. And it seems like every day, the more advanced we get, the worse we become as a society. But that's another vlog for another day. On that, God bless. Be safe.